tell, literally make the world. If you want to change the world, you need to change your story. Hello and welcome to the ET Edge Cutting Chai Stories. I'm your host Deipti Dewan, and today in this episode of Cutting Chai Stories brought to you by ET Edge, I bring to you yet another inspiring and interesting story. Today we have with us Abhishek Gharat, co-founder and CEO, KraftPixel Digital Solutions Private Limited. KraftPixel specializes in web development, optimization, maintenance, as well as building interesting solutions to today's business needs. At KraftPixel, Abhishek is building a work culture that is fulfilling, one with play, purpose, and potential. He believes in managing things and leading people, and not vice versa, building processes that are simple and sustainable. Abhishek is also co-founder and managing partner, Digital Campfire Ventures LLP. Well, Abhishek is passionate about unlocking people's true potential through empathetic listening and strategic challenges and feedback. He believes in bringing an organization's potential online using IT. He's a mentor, a friend, cheerleader, and coach, wearing many hats, but with one mission: making a difference. So, welcome, Abhishek.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to tell stories. I would love to share stories from my journey today.
Absolutely, Abhishek. So, we are so delighted to have you join us today, and our viewers are waiting to hear from you. Let us dive straight into the conversation. So, did your parents have any dreams about what profession you should take up?
Well, that's an interesting question. So let's go back in time. This was when I was in the 12th grade and I had just finished my exams. And being the student that I was, I did not score very good marks. And my dad had worked in the railways, he retired in 2020, May 2020. He worked in the railways for 40 years. And back then, when I finished my education, I'm in the 12th grade, he bought home the motorman's form. So, my dad had a vision that I should be a motorman. And it was quite a funny, I was saying, because he saw me playing these train simulation games in the 10th and 11th grade. And he thought that, I have an interest in being a motorman. And that's how that is one of his things that he wanted me to be a motorman. However, I had different interests, which was I wanted to get into engineering. So yeah, that's that. Yeah.
All right, well, a great start at that. And uh, what made you join the business that you are in right now? What made you? It was crucial when starting a service business.
Okay, so I was never meant to get into business. Coming from a Maharashtrian family,
Mm.
business is quite looked down upon in because it's like business is for the other caste, say Marwadis, Gujaratis, etc. But in a Maharashtrian family, the conversation about money does not start very well in the young days. It's sometimes like money is evil. Money, not a lot of those things happen in my family. But it's always about taking up a job. And So in 2014, it was a stroke of luck. I remember the day very specifically. This was the 26th of July, 2014. It was a rainy day. It was a sunny day in rainy July of 2014. And I remember quite well. It's a little funny. I was doing push-ups when the idea of CraftPixel came about. And Prathamesh had just, so Prathamesh is my elder brother by 5 years. And he had just woken up and I told him hey, you have worked in the freelance space for the last 5 years since graduation and I have this interest in design. So why don't you just start something? And we were very naive back then, right? Like as a young person, you're very naive to support and everything. And one good thing that we did back then was we not make any forecasts of such when how will you get these clients or watch these clients. So I think that helped us a lot because usually what happens is your mind puts a brake to an idea as soon as when it starts getting scary, you get anxious and then your mind puts a brake to it. That did not happen with us. And with a full big investment of rupees 1,000, we bought two domains, which was craftpixel.com, craftpixel.in. And that's how we started. the story after that is like, it was all crickets. Like, there were no clients, like, for the next 2 to 3 months. But yeah, we did start, and like, it was a good start. And as I continue to the story, I will share about how our very first project was not did not earn us any money, but it earned us a lot of dua in the world. But we'll get to that as the interview progresses.
Yes, yes. So, please tell us about that. After that, what was the journey like? So, you
So,
saw a dream. I think the seeds were sown by your brother. You saw this dream, and then you did not think about, the practical aspects, which is probably great initially. Otherwise, there's a lot of you get scared, right?
you guess.
Post that, what was your journey like? Our viewers would like to know.
So we started the company, like we got it registered, etc., and all that stuff happened. Like, on the first day, we got the logo done, and the logo is the same that you see in the background up there. That was made by me back then, and like I said, it was all crickets for the next 1 month. And on another rainy day, I was out in Vasai East. So we are from Vasai, and I met Mr. Ashok Pandey there, who I used to look up to as a mentor back then. And so he was like, "Hey, Abhishek, there's this one girl. Her name is Bhavisha Singh, and she has been selected to represent India in Germany for karate. However, as things go in India, like, cricket gets the most precedence over everything else, and like, there no the other sports kind of get ignored."
Yeah.
And he was like, see if you can get a website done for, like, little money, like, for a little cheap for this girl, because it's a cause. We were like, okay, great, this could be our very first client, and we are very excited. And but then when we go to visit Bhavisha, her financial condition was not that great, and like, we realized that she could not even afford like a 5,000 rupees, like, or a 10,000 rupees for the website. And then me and Prathamesh got back home together, and we decided that, hey, let's, like, this is our first project. Let's go out and do some good in the world. Like, let's start with that. And cutting the story, because this is a long story, what happened then is, we got the website done. It took us about 3 weeks to get the website done, get all our certificates scanned. And she was literally a prodigy. She was a karate prodigy, and like, we believe that this girl can get, like, what do you say? We should pursue things for this girl. Like, we had no relations with this girl. Like, she was not a friend, she was not a family friend, nothing. She was just a stranger in the world for us. And we decided to, like, "Okay, let's get it done." We got the website done. Then she drops a bombshell on us saying, like, although my goal to raise is 2 lakh rupees, my teammates are also not able to raise money. So it's like a kata committee event where, like, 3 people have to go. Like, just one cannot go. And then we were like, "Hey," we go back to the group. So there was this one group who we had formed, who had said, like, we'll write letters to our CEOs, CFOs, and we'll help, like, Bhavisha raise money. Now we go to them and say, like, "Hey guys, the goal is no longer 2 lakh rupees, it's 6 lakh rupees." And then everyone's faces told the story. Like, Abhishek, and like one guy came forward and said, "Hey, Abhishek, we have not even raised 5,000 rupees till now. How are we dreaming of six lakh rupees?" And then just the way me and Pratibha started, we are all alone again. And at that time, I knew the co-founders of a popular social media channel. They wrote the India Against Corruption movement at that time, and like, they had 1 million followers. And we reached out to them. Like, I reached out to their co-founders now. And as it goes with all celebrity relations, you know them, but they don't know you. So you message them, and like, there's no reply, because like, they have very busy schedules and lifestyles. But then I messaged their page on Facebook, and they were pretty quick to reply. They said that, "Hey Abhishek, like, understand that cricket is always given importance, and like, you all have already made the website. We would love to be a partner on this journey." And like, then they were like, "Hey Abhishek, but we don't have a team to take a video interview, because see, if you're raising money for this girl, she has to be on video. Like, a face has to tell the story. You cannot just tell a story and be able to raise, like, say, 6 lakh rupees." At that time, the attendance in my college was about 72%. And now they were like, "Abhishek, you need to go and take her interview. There's no other option we have." And then we worked on the script till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to her place at around 7 o'clock in the morning. She's also bunked classes that day. I have bunked college that day. And I did not care at that time, like, hey, because when the attendance goes below 70%, your parents are going to the college. And it was a big dilemma for me at that time, like, kya kare? But then in such situations of life, you realize that it's the last mile. And if you could just pursue that last mile for someone else, something can happen for them, something, and it could be a life-changing trajectory. It can make a big life-changing moment in their trajectory. So I went to her place. And at that time I was pretty jittery in front of the camera. Although I was leading a photography team in my college, I used to be behind the camera. I was not very good in front of the camera. So I used to jitter a lot. And for a 5 minute video, I like spent 6 hours at a place, got the video recorded, send it to the social media page. And they took about 6 hours to edit it. I remember clearly this was a Friday. They post the video with Chak De India music, and the next morning, I get a call from Bhavisha's mom because we had given her mom's account details. We not want to get in the middle of the money. So her mom's account details were there on the website. And she gives me a call on that Saturday morning. She says, Abhishek, someone deposited 50,000 into your account. I was like, this is a scam. This is not possible. It's So I quickly log on to the email address that we had created for her. And there was this one couple from the UK who had wired 50,000 rupees overnight. And then we were like, now this is going to work out pretty well. They went overboard. They raised 6,87,000 rupees.
Wow.
The website is still live. It's karategirl.in, and it's live not because we achieved this feat. It is live because it's a constant reminder to us like this is where we had started. This is our first dot in the journey. And as we look back, like Steve Jobs had said, right, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. So, that was that. If someone asks me, that is the most important dot in our journey. We wanted to do good. We not earn any money out of it, but I think we earned a lot of dua, because then those dots that came after that, make me tell the story. Wherein we then
Absolutely.
met our co-founders. Those co-founders took us into boardrooms of large companies like, say, CoverFox, Aqua General Insurance, Angel One, etc. And then that's how we started working with all of these clients. But then that dot is the most crucial, like where we started doing social good. We do a social good project every 1.5 to 2 years, just to stay in touch with the ground, because that's where our roots are.
Well, what a great story and what a great beginning. And you've shown you're a perfect example of how one can use IT and technology for, creating an impact and difference in people's
100%.
lives. So
100%.
that's, I think, a perfect example, something that I'm sure everybody is inspired by. So you spoke about your co-founders. Tell us a little bit more about that. What was
Sure.
the process like? And also, what are the things that you should look for and how should one go about selecting a co-founder? I'm sure this will be very.
So I'll share what I know, right? And this is through experience. My co-founder, is Prathamesh, who is my elder brother by 5 years. And I have seen him, since the very childhood. And he was my inspiration to get into computers. Like my interest in computers came through Prathamesh, and for Prathamesh, it came through our dad, because when he was small, when we in the seventh grade, our dad used to get these technology magazines at home, which there was a magazine called Think Digit. There was a magazine called Chip. They used to get those home. My dad used to get, and there was always a CD at the back of those magazine issues, and so we used to play with software back then. We have these curious minds. Now coming to the question of how do you select a co-founder? Well, I knew my brother, I'd seen him for like 15 years, and and I'll tell you what a mistake that I've seen other co-founder friends make. Well, whenever they want to start a company, they always get into the finance bits first.
Mm.
It's the alignment on human values that should happen first. Because if you don't do that, when the times get tough, and which my experience tells it will, uh, things are going to start breaking and things are going to start falling apart. Things that you thought that this was a core foundation. Hey, I believe that you also believe in the same values, but then it turns out it's not happening. And so alignment on values. Now, one question to someone who's listening to this conversation would ask is, how do you come to know a person's values? Well, you watch them from the trenches. You go to let's say an NGO event together, see how that person is with other fellow human beings. Because, and I'm saying that from my experience, you might take up other strategies to find this out. But in my way of doing it is to see how this person treats other humans. That was my and I knew Prathamesh since a long time. So alignment, one mistake to avoid is don't align on the finances and everything bits first. Align on the human values first. because there will be a lot of rules unspoken. Like when you start, you go into business and then there are tough times and then your values get challenged, etc. All that thing happens. But then if you align on the values first, like, if you align on the principle first, everything else is going to fall into place as you progress in the journey. So that's and this is the most important, is your skills as co-founders should not overlap each other.
Hmm.
They should complement each other. They should go hand in hand. Because if it overlaps, there's going to be a lot of decision fatigue. Like, you're going to keep fighting over the same thing. Like, both of you are good at the same thing. Like, we're fighting about it, and it's not going to move the company forward, right? The cause is always bigger than like you both, like, or you three, or how many of our co-founders you have. So aligning on that, like, and having skill sets that complement each other, not overlap, like, is the way to go. But as I say that, also know that each co-founder should know 20% of the expertise of the other co-founder. Let's say like Prathamesh is the one who leads technology at our company, and I'm
Hmm.
the one who, like, looks after all the other departments, like sales, operations, HR, whatever, like all six, seven other departments. But I know 20% of what Prathamesh does, and Prathamesh knows 20% of what I do. And that's
Hmm.
pretty important because sometimes there are going to be emergencies and you're not going to be able to be there for certain meetings, or there's some crucial event. That is when, like, that 20% of knowledge certainly helps. So it does.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Great tips and great pointers. They make absolute sense. Moving on quickly, tell us about your, the projects that you do for social good. You have done so many and you continue to do them. What exactly drives you?
Well, like I said earlier, right? Okay, let me tell you, like, how maybe this came along in our personalities, like, Prathamesh and my personalities. When we were young kids, mom used to tell us this one story very repeatedly. She said that when we were kids, like, this is mom telling me this. When we were kids, and there used to be even like that 1 rupee or like a 50 paise athane ka chocolate that used to come at home. Her mom used to, like, there were four siblings, and even that tiny chocolates used to split into four, and then, like, each sibling got an equal part. And then
Hmm.
she told the story so repeatedly, like, sharing is very important. Karke. And I believe, like, that story in my childhood culminated into this value. Keep saying this thing, right? Like, you need to be rich first. Like, they want to be rich first, and then they want to contribute back to society. So we
Hmm.
were like, it makes no difference if we start now. Even if we don't have a lot of money, you can still do, like, whatever social good with whatever you cannot as not practice doing this from the beginning is what I want to share.
Hmm.
And then expect, like, when you get rich, you're going to keep doing it, because your priorities are what you practice when you don't have a lot.
Hmm.
So we decided to practice this, and, like, we keep doing these projects. But all that aside, like, the main thing is that we want to stay in touch with our roots. Our first roots were in social work, and, like, this is why we keep doing these projects. Um, and these projects, the scale of these projects has only increased with time. In 2017, we worked with the State Election Commission of Maharashtra, where we rebuilt their voter search engine. Back then, there were a lot of issues with the existing website that they had. And unfortunately, it used to crash on the day when it is needed the most. So, like, they were quite frustrated, and, like, they were like the Mumbai elections, the BMC elections of 2017, February 2017. And we had pointed out, like, hey, if the voter search engine is not going to work, a lot of people are not going to be able to find out where their polling booth is.
Hmm.
And then a pretty large company was managing that website at that time. And when we pitched that, hey, we will build this website in 3 weeks and give it to you. And approximately, and it's a large website, right? Like, there's 7.2 crore. There were 7.2 crore voters back then. And, like, that's such a huge number to handle, because like, when the show happens, like, well, there are around 5,000, 6,000 people on the website at the same time, and, like, to be able to handle that much amount of load, even the election commission knew, like, it's not a simple task. So all we got is a smirk from the stakeholders at the election commission that time, like, hey, that big company is not able to do it, how are you going to do this?
Hmm.
But then, thankfully, like, Prathamesh's expertise comes into play. He's someone who's been very agnostic with technology. So he builds this, and 1 day before, 1 or 2 days before this thing is to go live, uh, like, the commissioner there sees it and he says, okay, this is good enough. But however, they were not allowed to. So, for example, Facebook was a partner back then, and they were not allowed to send people straight to the website. I mean, and straight to a third-party website that is built, right? So they had to send visitors to the election commission website first, and then from there, if people chose to come to the website which we had built, then they could. However, on the morning of that day, the website crashes, the official website, and then there was a decision that was taken that everyone be sent to this website. So we were told that you are not going to have a lot of load on your website because our website is going to be there first, and then people are going to come to your website if something happens. Now, the morning of 17th February 2017 was we had 9,000 people on our website at that time. It was a state of panic because we were told there's going to be a very less number, but then we handled it. We were able to handle it. There was a big campaign. So this campaign was officially called the Mahavoter campaign in 2017, and there were a lot of partners. And this is not to take credit or anything because there's so many partners involved. That was a year when there was about a 12% jump in voter turnout. But we don't take credit for this. There were so many things that the policy judicial body, the Election Commission of Maharashtra, did at that time, and this is all their credit, for allowing small players like us, believing in small players like us to be able to build such a tool. That followed with testimonials from them, with the emblem of India saying we help in the cause, etc. And then fast forward 2021, they invite us again to be a technology partner to them. So that's how. And I mean, we live for those moments where we get trust. We don't get any money out of it, but it's just helping causes is which is what drives us. Yeah.
Well, great, and kudos to that. Well, in the interest of time, I'll quickly move on to our next question. Just quickly tell us, the current market can feel like a crisis for some young graduates. So, any recommendations you have for them?
Um, yeah, couple of look. So, one funny story that I have missed to tell you is in our company, Prathamesh wears the hat of a CTO, which is the Chief Technology Officer, and I wear the hat of a CEO. But the flip story here is Prathamesh is a commerce graduate. And and it is only with time we realize that Prathamesh's skills outdo a lot of the engineers in IT, even mine, because I don't code at my company. I wear the hat of a CEO. I do the sales, marketing, meeting people, etc. But then Prathamesh is the one with a commerce degree who is able to excel in his stuff. So what I've seen is the youngsters of today are very smart. It's no longer a linear career trajectory. So these folks, they learn from YouTube, they learn from free courses on the internet, and they do community learning on platforms like Discord, and that's great because Prathamesh's story proves that you don't need a degree to excel in something. You can have a certain passion for whatever area, and you can still do good in it. So that is one. But I understand there's a crisis. A lot of people are unemployed today. I would just like to signal to them a certain shift that is happening in hiring, and this might be an insight. uh, Companies are moving to skill-based hiring instead of a resume-based hiring. Till a long time in India, most companies were doing resume-based hiring, wherein the HR executive used to look at the resume, used to find oh, this is presented really well, and used to take that person forward. But then companies are changing that to a skill-based hiring, where there are these automated platforms now which check your skills first. They are the ones which do your screening. So I would suggest working on the skills, optimize your resume with AI and write your cover letters with AI. All that's good, but it's your skills that are going to speak now. So continue doing your YouTube learning, etc. Keep excelling, keep practicing projects. It's not just watching these videos on YouTube; it's also practicing them simultaneously, and keep going at the community learning part of the entire journey. This is on platforms like Discord, etc.
Yeah.
Those are the tips I would give you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for answering our questions. We would like to quickly dive a little bit into what you are in the personal space like. So, quickly tell us about any hobbies or interests you have, or, work life balance. I did read in your profile that you talked about every now and then I travel within through spiritual excursions. So, anything you'd like to talk about that?
So that's happened when the times got tough in my life, actually. So there are three pillars to health, right? There's physical health, there's mental health, and then there is one more, which is spiritual health.
Hmm.
Uh, the spiritual part is usually very ignored, but then when the times get tough, it is this component of practice your daily or weekly, that really helps you in these tough moments, because it gives you a space where you realize what is the bigger thing, what is the bigger cause you're working on. And then it makes all the problems feel very tiny, in comparison to the big mission that you are in life. So I've got into this excursion of spirituality just about in these last 2 to 3 years. I'm still trying to build a discipline. It is not very easy. Because it gets you to question a lot of things in life. And when that happens, it's a little painful. You start realizing that your values are getting realigned in a better way, etc. And a lot of things happen. In terms of my hobbies, well, I come from a farmer's lineage. So I've recently got a knack into home gardening, trying to grow some herbs around house. I mean, obviously all the, the legal herbs. There is no version of anything. So I've been trying to grow specifically mint, etc. And, I have this interest in dancing. So I've been learning jive, salsa, and bachata. So that's one.
Wow.
So,
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for letting us an insight into your personal life also. And quickly, so you're a Mumbai boy. I'm going to ask you this. What is your favorite, vada pav or misal pav?
I would go with Mrs. Pav. 100.
Misal pav. Okay.
Yes.
And Mumbai in rains or without rains?
Oh, definitely in trains.
In rains.
Yes.
And quickly, could you please describe yourself in 3 words?
Okay. Wow. Well, I would say one, curious. Second, would be persistent.
Hmm.
And third would be systems thinker.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's the
Amazing. Great. Well, thank you so much, Abhishek, for sharing with us about your journey and your life. I'm sure it will inspire all our viewers and resonate with them.